see that I will achieve. Because I do the things I should, between my brethren kind and good. So I'll keep moving on, I won't stop now. I'll keep moving on, till I reach the top somehow.
Yes, my Straight Talk family, whenever you hear that theme song, you know it's time for me to say good night, St. Kitts and Nevis. Time for me to say good night to the world, in particular to the Kittitian and Nevisan diasporas all over the world. My Straight Talk family, if you are joining me for the first time, I say welcome to this edition of Straight Talk, a program that's heard every Monday and Thursday from 8 in the p.m. until 10 p.m. And we are now partnering, as of last week Thursday, we're now partnering with our sister station, Win FM 98.9 on the FM dial. My Straight Talk family, if you're joining me for the first time again, I say good night. If you're in the diaspora, I can say good night, I can say good morning, and or I can say good afternoon, because one of such greetings will be applicable to the region in which you find yourselves. Some of you I know are in Asia, some of you are in Africa, there are some of you in Europe, and certainly there are a whole lot of you all over North America. So I'm at liberty to extend all those greetings, because you're all over the world. And if you're joining me for the first time, I want to also inform you that Straight Talk is a participative program. By that I mean we include your calls, we include your emails, and we also include your Facebook messages when possible, because you know my family, we get busy around here at times. But welcome, and again I want to extend our sincere condolences to all the departed brothers and sisters. Remember that our hearts and our prayers are with your families who are bereaved at this particular time. I've been asked many a time about our brother King Rockefeller. You understand he has not been interred as yet, but I'm sure we'll get that information sooner rather than later, and we'll be able to share that with you if possible. For those who are sick, those who are ill, we pray for your recovery, and we pray that you will be strong in these difficult times. Straight Talk, we are going as of tonight to reintroduce that section of the program we called Observations in Review, which is that time in the program when we highlight the issues, and in the process we also do some reflection. Then we can ask a few questions such as what was accomplished, how it has helped others, what has changed since, what can be expected, also what new we have learned as a people. And our first observation tonight, we're going to focus on the 77th session of the United Nations General Assembly, UNGA, which began on the 13th and is expected to be concluded by tomorrow, which is the 27th of this month, at the United Nations headquarters there in New York, in the United States of America. The first day of the high-level general debate was Tuesday, and just in case you may be pondering, the General Assembly is the main deliberative, policy-making and representative organ of the United Nations. And this year, the UNGA, the United Nations General Assembly, is being held under the theme, A Watershed Moment, Transformative Solutions to Interlocking Challenges. And it must be observed that while the issue of the pandemic still exists, it is not the only issue that the world faces. Though not exhaustive, global challenges remain such as racism, climate change, hunger, poverty, and armed conflicts that still exist, my family. And it was therefore a good thing that our Prime Minister Ju, who attended the UNGA, cited some of these challenges that demand global action during his contribution to the debate on Friday last. It was also good that he re-emphasized St. Kitts and Nevis' support for the republics of China and Taiwan and Cuba, my family, and that I believe is something we have done over the years, so it was good that this continued as well at that time when Prime Minister Ju, as I said, contributed or made his statement, his first statement to the General Assembly, that is, and I was in fact pleased that he would have done something like that in terms of extending his support to these two republics. Here was what he said.
I re-emphasize our unswerving support for Taiwan's meaningful participation in the UN system. Taiwan has been a long-standing friend and a partner for sustainable development. Mr. President, I can also speak firsthand to what our friendship with the Republic of Cuba and what it means to me and its value to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. Cuba has partnered with my own country and many in the developing world in healthcare, education, training, and agriculture. We therefore called an end to the decades-long embargo imposed against Cuba.
And my Straight Talk family, another observation we exactly looked at, while attempting to establish the facts nonetheless, many have asked whether it was Ju or Douglas who ensured that the Chinese investor accompanied them as part of the St. Kitts Nevis delegation, seated at the United Nations General Assembly, while calling for the Taiwanese to be included in the United Nations system. There was this Chinese investor seated amongst the St. Kitts Nevis delegation. Imagine, the Labour Party jumped on the bandwagon of bashing the CBI prison. They also bashed the Chinese investor while in opposition. The Chinese investor I referred to is the one who is constructing the CBI prison project, as it's called, and they accuse Timothy Harris and his family of a scheme to make $2 billion from the project. Imagine that. Then now, what you see? Prime Minister Drew, Foreign Minister Douglas and his cabal, all seated at the United Nations General Assembly with the same Chinese investor as part of the delegation to this high-level meeting. What hypocrisy, you may ask. We also observe that our Prime Minister, Dr. Drew, took a very large delegation to the high-level meeting, including 5 ministers of government. Imagine, we had 5 ministers of government, 5 elected ministers of government on that particular delegation, which traveled to New York for this high-level meeting. But it is well known that the 5 Labour ministers accompanied Prime Minister Drew to New York. It is now common knowledge that they only accompanied Dr. Drew so that they can all be part of the victory party for some of the hundreds of overseas voters from the tri-state in particular, who descended upon the Federation to cast their vote in the last election. Do we remember, my Straight Talk family?
Well, well, well. Nobody can stop this now. Nobody at all. I want to greet the people who are listening by way of the internet. Those who are in the diaspora and who will be coming home for labor tomorrow and Thursday, and will be part of the victory on Friday and Saturday. Tell them don't mess with us. We are labor. We are labor. We large and in charge.
Yes, my Straight Dog family. Those who came home, they came by plane, or they say they came by jet, exercised their franchise, they voted, and they've gone and left us in this calamity. The victory party was held at the Eastwood Manor at East Chester Road in the Bronx, New York, last Saturday night, the 24th of September 2022. And the tribalism continued even at that particular victory party. Could you imagine that, my Straight Dog family? Could you imagine this?
I just hope when you all of your PLP and MR and they come again, you know.
Well, they have choices. If they want to turn, they turn. But let them do what they want now.
I hope when you all don't take all your picture with the PM come election day, you all come and vote for the PM.
Yes, the political tribalism continued at the party. And just for information, so that we can be pellucidly clear, because Straight Talk always bring you the facts. The 5 ministers that accompanied Dr. Drew were the Right Honorable Dr. Denzel Llewellyn Douglas, the Honorable Conris Maynard, the Honorable Dr. Joel Clark, the Honorable Marsha Henderson, and the Honorable Samuel Duggins. And that's a statement of fact we can verify right here. And our final observation tonight brings us to the latest twist in the prison project. Remember, it was a political hot potato during the last election of the 5th of August. But who would believe that Prime Minister Jew and his entire cabinet are feasting on that potato as we speak? How many of us remember? How many of us remember this political rant by Sir Kennedy about the prison project? How many of us remember this rant?
If the peace is working, why $1 prison? Why are we so focused on putting our people in a new prison? We must get our priorities right. If the peace is working, why are we building a $2 billion prison? Why are we so focused on putting our people in a new prison? We must get our priorities right.
Well, so Kennedy during that rant spoke to getting priorities right, my family. But we have a new government, in place, led by Dr. Terence Jew. And believe it or not, they are hastily continuing the construction of the same prison project that they criticize, with the same investor with whom Prime Minister Jew has also agreed to have constructed either 1,000 or 2,000 houses in addition to the prison project. Would you believe that, my Straight Talk family? Yes, Straight Talk don't fabricate things. Straight Talk brings you the facts, my family. And this is what's happening, we are told.
We have a new government in place. They have to make the prison project. That project was intended to enrich Chinese interests and their friends, to build a $30 million project, but the company would generate nearly $1 billion US by the issuance of 5,500 St. Kitts and Nevis citizenships. We cannot allow this to continue. This is rape and pillage by outsiders, aided and abetted by decision makers in our country. This Chinese jail project should be reviewed and shut down. I've gone through this before. Now I'm hearing that there is talk of a switch from prison or prison entirely to prison and houses. So the Chinese will receive the same amount of passport applications, collect the same amount of money, build a number of houses, and will sell those houses to our people, who will now have to pay the Chinese for the houses. So that is two sets of big money for the Chinese.
Well, Dwayne, I don't normally agree, but he's talking the truth. Prison and houses under Jew. After criticizing the Timothy Harris administration for embarking on this alternative investment opportunity under the CBI. My family, that's the hypocrisy of these politicians. Those are the observations under view currently, my Straight Talk family. But the substantive matter that I'm going to raise for discussion tonight, however, is what I have labeled an Attorney General vomits at the SKNYPA forum. And I do so with no intention whatsoever of disparaging anyone, because I believe that we all want progress here in the Federation. But progress can only mean getting nearer to the place that we want to go. Getting nearer to the place that we want to be my people, but progress here in the Federation can only mean getting nearer to the place where we all want to, or all want our country to be. But we seem to have taken a wrong turn quite early in the life of this administration. And if we continue forward, if we continue to go forward, we will not get any closer to our destination. Because if we are on the wrong road and want to progress, then we must make an about turn and walk back to the right road. And I can tell you from my own experience that the ones who turn back the soonest will be the most progressive ones. I use this scenario as my point of departure because I believe that it was an uncomfortable moment for the young minds of our country who attended or listened to excerpts from the second annual Youth Forum of St. Kitts, of the St. Kitts National Youth Parliament Association. And more so, for those who witnessed the Honorable Senator and new Attorney General vomit. He seemed to have lost control of his bowels, which obviously affected his brain. The Sept Forum focused on leadership under the theme A New Era, Breaking the Barrier, Reimagining youth leaders, and it was held on Wednesday the 21st of September 2022. A moment of great disappointment engulfed the forum during the question and answer period as the Attorney General started puking and vomiting for what appeared to be a sudden viral infection in the stomach or some other gastrointestinal problem or a reaction perhaps to something that the Attorney General ate. The brain and the gastrointestinal problem or gastrointestinal system are closely connected. So, if he has a problem, a gastrointestinal problem, then it affects his brain. Many came to the conclusion, or to that conclusion, because in most recent times, accusations by the newly appointed Attorney General Garth Wilkin concerning impropriety or corruptive practices have left more questions than answers regarding the role and functions of this important office. Also the honor, obligation, and values of the individuals who are appointed to this job. There's an old saying which goes like this, and I quote, "He who comes to justice must come to her with clean hands." The old saying is just a reminder to any accuser or anyone making allegations that they should ensure that he or she is clean from unpardonable and unethical behavior. So it always irks me when in St. Kitts and Nevis, some people parade as paragons of virtue, yet they have so many skeletons in their closet. One of them who comes to the media every week, when he was a minister of tourism and responsible for the Frigate Bay Development Corporation, we cannot forget, he signed a contract as minister for over $50 million to construct the Valley Greens Golf Course development. Until this day, my people, until this day, he has not given an account for that project. All he was prepared to say until now is this, and this cannot be adequate, my people.
Apparently, he wants me to explain to the nation why I, as a minister, signed an agreement. Well, it seems as though he wants me to explain why I signed. I'm told that he said he's not accusing anybody of bubble, but that he was just asking, where's the money? That's what I'm told, right? And I don't remember. But let me say what I have to say. I'm not saying it didn't happen.
I didn't fabricate that, my straight dog family. That came from the mouth of the said minister who signed the contract to construct the Valley Golf Course development. Where is the golf course, one may ask? And where is the money? That's the obvious question to follow, my straight dog family. And these are issues we must never forget, because these are some of them, or some of the people who come to us as if they are paragons of virtue. Now we have an Attorney General puking and vomiting all over hard-working and decent people by making nasty, offensive and hateful comments in his futile attempt at criminalizing political differences. Was the job, or was that job assigned to the new AG? Was that the job, I should ask, assigned to new AG? And we ask the question, what was the job assigned to the new AG? Because he said he's not afraid.
I think it's time we need to draw a line in the sand, and we need to make sure that we have a better country moving forward. I'm not afraid of anybody, and I'm saying that straight up. I'm not scared of anybody. I was hired to do a job, and I'm going to do that job. So some people should be shaking in their boots right now.
Not afraid. The new Attorney General, my people, seems angry after just about 47 or 48 days on the job. But why is he so angry? You ask yourselves. Listen to this and tell me if the new Attorney General is saying that widespread corruption exists in his ministry. Listen carefully, my people. Listen to this carefully and tell me whether the new Attorney General is saying that widespread corruption exists in his ministry.
Small acts of corruption tolerated by leave and sometimes overnight. Only a leader with integrity can put an end to corrupt practices within the institution he or she leads. Because a leader with integrity will not take bribes, he or she will also seek to eradicate bribery within the structure of the institution by setting clear anti-corruption policies and by policing them. In my context, being a minister of government, albeit for a couple of weeks, the way we plan to begin to tackle the currently existing widespread corruption in our federation is by fully operationalizing the Integrity in Public Life Act, the Freedom of Information Act, and the Anti-Corruption Act, which will work as the three pillars of protection from the treasury rapists that currently exist throughout our ministry.
Have you heard what I heard, my straight dog family? The treasury rapists that currently exists throughout his ministry. And I'm asking myself, is this new Attorney General saying to all and sundry that his predecessor aided and abetted treasury rapists? That's a question we ask tonight. The new Attorney General said he was given a job to do. But in St. Kitts and Nevis, like in most common law jurisdictions, the Attorney General is the chief or main legal advisor to the government. As chief legal advisor, our Attorney General is also expected to serve as counselor to federal government agencies and the parliament, also to represent the best public interests. I want to repeat that. As chief legal advisor, my family, the Attorney General is expected to serve as counselor to the federal government agencies and the parliament, also to represent the best public interests as the chief legal advisor to the government. Now, the Attorney General is a constitutional office, I must first say. And I'll open the lines in a few minutes, my Straight Dog family. Just bear with me. The numbers are 663-6672 and or 646-829-6672. If you want to hold the lines, I will be grateful. But under Section 64 of the Constitution, it states, there shall be an Attorney General who shall be the principal legal advisor to the government. And it goes on. But in fact, the Constitution also speaks to the control of public prosecutions. And it says there shall be a director of public prosecutions whose office shall be a public office. But having read Section 65, my people, my interpretation as a layman is that the Attorney General has no prosecutorial standing in any matter as such, because independence is a firmly established constitutional convention in St. Kitts and Nevis. We do not have a constitutional framework, or we do have, I should say, a constitutional framework wherein the Director of Public Prosecutions has authority to make final decisions in matters of criminal prosecution, whereas the Attorney General may just have a corresponding duty to consult with or inform the Cabinet and the Prime Minister on the public interest implications of prosecutorial decisions when the circumstances warrant them. That's the role of the Attorney General, I straight up. And as well, remember, he's also the Minister of Justice and Legal Affairs. I believe, yes, Attorney General Wilkin is also the Minister of Justice and Legal Affairs. And for that reason, he must ensure that under his leadership, his Department of Justice and Legal Affairs is dedicated to upholding the rule of law, keeping our country safe, and protecting civil rights, or the civil rights of all Kittitians and Nibijans. Attorney General Wilkin not only vomited at the SKNYPA forum, but the AG also puked on the great talent of young men and women in St. Kitts, my family. What an unwarranted press release from the Attorney General's office that has no basis or foundation in fact, none whatsoever. And I heard the news item on this release, which went something like this.
The Office of the Attorney General, AG MJLA, is advising the general public that all engagements between the AGO and MJLA and a company, Open Interactive, with offices at Wilkin Street, Fort Lance, Bastille, have ended. That's according to an official press release issued by the Office of the Attorney General. The engagements ended effective August 26, 2022. The AGO and MJLA website, legal.gov.kn, and social media accounts will now be managed by the Department of Information Technology. The press release further said, quote, "Please note that as a matter of full disclosure, Open Interactive Inc. was first engaged by the Ministry of Justice and Legal Affairs by written contract dated November 1st, 2019, which expired on October 31st, 2020, by which $10,000, the equivalent of 27,169 EC dollars per month, was paid to Open Interactive Inc. This for services related to the aforementioned website and social media accounts. Open Interactive Inc. was then engaged by the Office of the Attorney General by a written contract dated February 1st, 2020, which expired on August 31st, 2020, by which US $25,000, EC $67,922.50 per month was paid to Open Interactive Inc. for similar services. After the expiry of the aforementioned contracts, Open Interactive Inc. continued to be paid US $10,000, EC $27,169 per month by the Attorney General's Office and the Ministry of Justice and Legal Affairs. The press release further revealed that, quote, over the lifespan of both contracts and thereafter, Open Interactive Inc. was paid a total of EC $1,344,865.50.
Imagine that. A press release claimed to advance full disclosure. But how can the Attorney General insult the intelligence of the people of St. Kitts and Nevis by deliberately releasing one-sided information on the emoluments or the payments received by a private contractor and not release the scope of works provided to the government by the said contractor? So we must ask, nonetheless, where was Attorney General Wilkin when St. Kitts Nevis launched its e-government website or portal on Thursday the 18th of February 2016? And ironically, my straight dog family, ironically, it was Jamelia McPhail who read that news item on Freedom about the press release, who cheered the official launch of that particular portal, or officially cheered the ceremony.
To be at this event this morning. The first reason is the launch of the National ICT Governance Board, and the second, the introduction of the e-governance portal, the first of its kind in the region. So, before we get started, I would like to acknowledge key persons in the room. We are honored to have the presence of the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris. Deputy Prime Minister, the Honorable Sean K. Richards. The Premier of Nevis and Senior Minister, the Honorable Vance Emery. We also have with us the Honorable Mark Brantley, who is the Deputy Premier of Nevis. The Honorable Ian Patches Liburd. The Honorable Lindsay Fitzpatrick Grant. The Attorney General, the Honorable Senator Vincent Byron. The Honorable Wendy Phipps. The Cabinet Secretary, Mrs. Josephine Huggins. Permanent Secretaries and Ambassadors. We are honored to have you here. Before we get started, we wanted to acquaint you with the room. The room is interactive. On this side, we have a virtual display of a mobile app store. These are apps that will be available shortly. In the corner over here, we have an interactive sensor that shows you what the portal will look like. So at the end, you can interact with that. You can go on and see exactly what we are introducing today. The images that you are seeing behind me are images that are available on the site and will go a long way towards rebranding St. Kitts and Nevis.
And yes, my Straight Talk family, I was there over 6 years ago. Where was the Attorney General at that time? And I hold no brief for Stasio Williams and or Open Interactive. But the Attorney General also revealed that the contract was being terminated, but no reason was advanced or given. There was no allegation, no hint of misconduct or of impropriety, or of the failure to perform the contract or at the highest level. It just seems to me like rank victimization. Open Interactive employs over 20 people, and young people as well.
We're all local. Where we can, if we import it, it comes here, stay here, and contribute towards capacity building for our local economy. No money, none of your money, none of the government's money that's been spent to advance this project is going anywhere. It's staying right here in St. Kitts Nevis, and that's important to know. We're all local. Where we can, we don't export any talent. We don't import talent. Or if we import it, it comes here, stay here, and contribute towards capacity building for our local economy. No money, none of your money, none of the government's money that's been spent to advance this project is going anywhere. It's staying right here in St. Kitts Nevis, and that's important to know.
And my Straight Talk family, it also employs young people, my Straight Talk family.
Things that we're looking forward to do. There are many people out there who would think that, you know, what is it different we're going to see? You know, we have this new situation, we have a new government. What is it different we're going to see? Mm-hmm. Well, I'm here to tell you that Open Interactive is just that, different. I'm sure just by what you see here before us, it's something different and historic within the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. And we don't just want to stay there. We want to embrace all the young men from the college who came forward and presented the ideas of robotics, etc. We embrace local talent. We exist to grow and encourage local talent. And on that note, I really want to emphasize where Pierre started, heading to, that everything you saw here today, everything you saw here was done 100% by local talent. I don't want to single them out. I want to single them out right now. Could our developers come forward, please? I want to single out the young men. Come forward. I want to single out before us the young men, who have, these are familiar young men, So we have Roving Door, right? And these are our senior developers. There are others which I'm going to call to the fore as well. But Roving's everything. So, they're shy, I must admit. But these young men have been working tirelessly. They have taken up the mantle of learning this new Mendix cutting-edge platform and turn it into what we have seen here before us today. And at least one of them have to say something. So I'll allow the senior lead developer to say a few words on behalf of the team.
Well, Stasio is known for putting people on the spot. Well, on behalf of the team and myself, I just wanted to say that the experience in working on this project, it's a rewarding one. We've grown a lot in our craft and our skill as developers, and we really hope to continue to make this contribution, or make this our contribution to the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, and to really be a part of helping everyone, all citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis, in being able to interact more with the government. And I really believe that this would be historic as we roll out over the years, and I really do hope that it would be, it would really receive the recognition and praise that it deserves.
Thank you very much. And these are some of our young men. Our team don't end there. Names, the names. Okay, so we have Roving Door, who is a young man, our senior developer. He's from St. Paul's, right? In the middle, we have Asquil Folance, our lead developer from Sandy Point. And for those of you who don't know, he's actually my younger brother. Up and coming. And on the far end, we have Corvin Wallace, who's joined us from Nevis to be a part of the Open Interactive team. So you're seeing all-encompassing facet here. And these are young men, but there are others that I want to single out as well. Right? Thanks. I also want to single out the women, because none of this could have been possible without the women of Open Interactive. And so I want to call on Donella Diaz to come forward. And she has, there's Donella, and she has worked tirelessly along with Ophelia and Pierre in the IT department daily to ensure that what you see before us with content has been a success. Donella Diaz. I also want to call on John L. Rollins. Come on, come on. Come on, John L., join the team. John L. Rollins. And John L. has been working within our marketing agency and was very instrumental in staging what you see here before us today. It's John L. Rollins. And then I also want to call on Kimberly Irwin, who packed up her bags from New York and decided to join the Open Interactive team here in St. Kitts to deliver what you see being done before us today. And here's Kimberly Irwin, an international writer, right? But there's more. I also want to call on Lauren Pemberton, who moved back to Nevis, back to her roots, and decided to join us here to stage this wonderful event. So these are the women of Open Interactive. Thank you very much. And then I want to save the very best for last. Well, Akila is also, I'm not sure if she's here with us today, or she is Akila. Akila, our accountant, just come forward. I wasn't seeing you. And it's Akila who ensure that everything is on point with the numbers. Beautiful. And then last but not least, Adam Anderson, who, Adam, you know, and he's going to say a few words, but Adam has been an inspiration to me. I don't know, the age is a statue, you don't know how you get this guy to you know, just be there and just be in this thing. But somehow I managed to encourage him to forget about the US and where he come from and set up shop here. So Adam has been with us for 2 years. He worked shoulder to shoulder with us, and he's here for the long haul. He's here to stay. Adam Anderson. Adam? Adam, come on. Come on.
Sorry. It's been about 5 years since I think I saw a tear, so. But thank you. I'm sorry. In every sense of the word, this has been a labor of love. And everything that's been said and expressed here, I hope that everybody understands how deeply important this is for everybody here and for the country. And we're happy to contribute everything that we have and everything that we are for the success of the government, for the success of the Federation. And even though I may look a little different, my heart and my soul is rooted here. And
thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, you know, that's our team of Open Interactive, and we're all local. Where we can, we don't export any talent. We don't import talent. Or if we import it, it comes here, stay here, and contribute towards capacity building for our local economy. No money, none of your money, none of the government's money that's been spent to advance this project is going anywhere. It's staying right here in St. Kitts Nevis. And that's important to know, right?
My straight talk family, I deliberately allowed that portion of the official opening ceremony or launch ceremony of the e-government portal way back in 2016 unedited. I was there and I asked where was the new Attorney General. The contribution of Open Interactive to nation building is par excellence. Attorney General Wilkins' gleeful announcement of the victimization meted out to Open Interactive symbolizes how far out of their depth the new administration appears to be, with Attorney General Wilkins as their standard bearer. But somebody must speak to the Attorney General and stop him from vomiting like he did at SKNYPA. His gastrointestinal problem is affecting his legal brain, and his permanent secretary, who is the chief accounting officer in his ministry, must at least request the intervention of the director of audit to take the necessary steps to examine all the accounts of the office of the Attorney General and the Ministry of Justice and Legal Affairs. The director of audit is well placed to determine whether all the transactions within the ministry are carried out in accordance with the Finance and Administration Act that provides for the control and management of public finance, not the Attorney General. It provides also for the good governance of each ministry. That is the only way to clean up the vomit puked on everyone by Attorney General Wilkins, whose clear objective is to criminalize his political differences. The brain, as I said before, and the gastrointestinal system are closely connected. We need to help him fix his. That's my story tonight, my Straight Dog family, and I'm not going to change it. I'm going to open the lines and entertain your calls and your emails, those who wish to participate in the program from here on. Remember, I raised some issues from the beginning, and I went at length to outline or to highlight the vomiting that's going on from the chief legal advisor of this new administration. The numbers are 869-663-6672 and or 646-829-6672. Our email address is straighttalkpatches@gmail.com. I always like to implore you, my family, to respect others. And of course, to achieve that, you must first respect yourselves. Let us try to be fair to all concerned, and let us try to build goodwill and better friendships. Let us ensure that the things we say and or do will be beneficial to all concerned. And in the process of doing and saying those things, let us strive to build a kinder, gentler St. Kitts and Nevis. With that said, I go to the lines. My Straight Dog family, you are live.
Good evening, Patches. Hope all is well, sir.
Good evening, my dear brother. All is well, thank God. And yourself? Is all well with you?
Good, great. Yes. First of all, I want to extend my sympathy to Rock Rock family. You know, he was a true Kittian stalwart. And he believed in you just like the rest of us. So, you know, sorry to hear that. No, I have no idea what you're talking about there with this stuff. But it seems as though something was done for the people, think it. And this is what these guys do. They're going to try to make trouble. Come and make trouble. But you know people like you and have your things straight. So everything is going to be okay. No, just a quick question. What would they do with those amount of ministers up there? I don't pay for that. The government to sink it.
Of course.
No, another question. Was Denzel able to go past the Bronx? Was he allowed to go past the Bronx? I would like to hear that. I don't know if he was able to do that. Go north past the Bronx. You know, it's just something that changed.
Where's north past the Bronx, not by the way? Where is north?
Well, Westchester, those places up there, you know.
Ah, okay.
I know when the United States ban you from the country, you couldn't go outside of certain areas.
Well,
like you could have gone all over the United States.
Well, maybe he had a minder. Maybe he had a minder, somebody looking over him. So, you know, maybe that's one of the conditions.
Of course, but they're trying to fool the people, make him think he could go there and go there. They have protocols in place, and they're not going to come down on them like that. But I don't think that guy went not past the Bronx, like you could have done. No, you know what's going to be the new thing? What's happening? Denzel is going to be the king behind the throne, just like Billy Herbert was the king behind the throne with Simmons. Denzel is going to be king behind the throne for the Jew government. He is. He's going to be the king behind the throne. You can see all the moves already. Okay? But it's crazy. Think is, listen to me. Think is better be glass for a man like you. Okay? They know you clean. You have nothing to hide. They know that from day one. You especially. They cannot mess with you. Okay? But this is where it's going to be. Denzel is going to be the king behind the throne. No, you see how the what you call them, the rootless gang, what you call them again? Those three guys on that station. The groundless, the three groundless guys. You see how they cut up you and Harris so they can all get their rewards? And they all got the rewards so far. Well, only Sam didn't get his reward yet. So he may get the governorship. But I don't think he will. I think the governor is right there already. The governor. What's her name? That girl, master. I think she's going to be the governor. Or the governess, if you want to call it. And when you look, they're going to come and tell you, oh, the first woman governor. They moved that man out today. That man wasn't bothering nobody. And he know the whole stuff. So let's see how things go here, okay? But like I tell you, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. Well, we'll see. Back it. But like I said, they know they can't trust. They can't touch you. They cannot touch you. But the groundless crew, they cut you up. They all get rewarded now. Okay?
Okay, my brother.
And Sam is next to be governor, but they didn't give it to Sam. And like I said, Sam is not an inherently evil person. But Sam is more like a Kunamun. And that's what Sam is. But we talk when I see you already, he don't carry anger. He does carry anger, but not for me anyway. But the groundless crew who cut up you and Dr. Harris, they're getting their reward now. But anyhow, Patches, good to hear you. Sinkis need you. Without you, Sinkis gonna be screwed up, man. So hang in there, stay strong, and we'll be following you. Okay, brother?
Thank you, my brother. You stay strong as well and be safe.
Okay, of course. All the best to you, Patrick.
All the best, my dear brother. We go back to the lines. Caller, you are live. It's 1 before 9 o'clock. Are you there, caller?
Yes, good night.
Yes, good night. How art thou tonight?
Not too bad. The first caller so right. Troublemakers they be. They come back for that. Mr. Liburd, how was your weekend?
Restful, rather restful, my dear. How was yours?
That is good. I went to church, and going to church don't mean you cannot talk the right thing. And our preacher was saying, be good to people and to your neighbors, but sometimes you don't know who is your neighbor. But the Bible said that. Now, what I want to ask you, where the age is from? Here, the black, white, or half skull. If it's Timothy, our best prime minister, he want to get at, let him remember Dubai, jacket, briefcase, and suitcase. That should be his first investigation. It's not too late. They know the cheat to get there, and wait until now to vote out the best prime minister. Put out their hands for everything he gives. If God was like man, the hand would have done chop off. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my dear sister. Sounds like Alice in Wonderland. Very interesting perspective coming from you. It's now 9 o'clock, right to the top of the hour, and Straight Talk is back. We've had a short hiatus, but now we're back, and at 9 o'clock we go straight back to the lines. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Yeah, good evening, Patrice.
Good evening, my brother. How art thou?
Oh, thou art good without pigeon.
Yes. Mr. Culture.
Let me turn down a little bit on the radio. I can hear an echo back. Let me turn down.
It's 9 o'clock. We have a holding for the man of the hour, Mr. Culture, former cyclist. Is it a cyclist they call it, or bicyclist? How is it? What's it?
Well, let me use the first one, cyclist.
Cyclist, okay, all right.
I used to go you peeping through your father's foot to watch me in the park.
I saw you going under the evergreen tree, man. There's a bank in that corner there.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember that. Yes.
Anyway,
what's on your mind tonight?
Well, a couple of things. But first of all, let me share my condolences to the great Cecil Rock, the man who is missing in this program.
Yes, we miss
and his
him.
family.
Really?
Yeah, he's well missed on this program here, Brother Rock. But we would have called into your program. We will carry his duty. We will put him on our shoulders.
Yep.
I just thank God for you, like Shefton said. He well said what he has said. And let me come here now. Mr. Attorney General, he said that he referred to some people as treasury rapists. But I hope you know that one of the biggest rapists is the one who said that apparently you want him to say, why did he sign for the Valley Golf Course? Well, what does that say to the ears of the people who are listening? That means he did what he trying to borrow away from. So when the Attorney General said, well, he gonna shame some people, is a paint pan, a gallon pan up, and warms the opening. And I hope he dig right down to the bottom. Because that golf course contract is supposed to be in the can really warm them. So he ain't gonna just scrape off the warm on top and then feel like he do something, he do justice to the country. Now I hear my good friend Carlton Jupan said many years ago that politics is of the devil. Politics is nasty. But then he forget to say something the way he's supposed to say it. He's supposed to say some politicians are clean and some politicians are dirty. Big criticism went on with the new prison like you talk about tonight over at Estridge. And people who even went over there with camera to take picture. And a lot of condemnation went on about that prison, the new prison construct. Well, is there any same people now coming behind now and continuing it? When Mr. Lawyer Langsleeve was criticizing Dr. Harris when he was Prime Minister for building the prison and all of that, where is he out now? Where is him out to see the same people them who he was helping to criticize Dr. Harris and the construction of the prison? Where is he now to talk about those now who can continue it? And he know better, but he just mean to be bad and worthless. And hatred for Timothy Harris, and Timothy ain't doing nothing. Dr. Harris ain't doing not one of them nothing. If Dr. Harris were like some people, a lot of them would have done hush them out. But Dr. Harris is not a man to stand up and fire back and fight back. When they curse him publicly and try to degrade him and humiliate him, he just stay humble like Mary had a little lamb. But if he was a man who liked to fire back, a lot of them will have done hush. But time tell it in the future. Time tell it. They never want Christopher Columbus in Italy. They never want Christopher Columbus in Rome. So how come them down in the Caribbean land them about the way? So how come he down in the Western land them a mash up his home? They never want Dr. Harris when he was doing good. They never want Dr. Harris when he was doing good. So what am I ball for nowadays? No bad to come. I want them hush them out and go back to where they was. That is, I'll call back. Thank you for doing a good job. Don't stop. If we never had you, this place would have been worse. Oh, before I go, if you build a house on a piece of land and you plant up your ground in your yard and you fence up your yard, you leave your yard open for cattle, sheep, goat, and donkey, all whether eat bush, to come in your yard and eat on eating them. Saying that, the other illustration to say, if what was supposed to be done with people who don't live here, they couldn't come here, and Dr. Douglas couldn't go up on the way they were boast about come home and all of that. But because you see, it was wide open for them to come in here, vote on the towers and run back out and leave us here to suck whatever we get. And you know what they give us to suck? Political broke luck. You know that? Political broke luck. Because they leave the gate open for them to come in and vote and go back. And that deal should have been done corrected the very first time Team Unity went in office. Stop up that. That is the way Mr. Bradshaw had it. And Mr. Simmons changed it. And see, you know, that is what banging us. We own tail banging us. Thatchel, I have a good night so long. I'll come back.
Have a good night as well, my dear brother. We intended to go back to the lines, but my Stray Dog family, as that caller just said, the new AG has opened a can of worms. He's also alluded to what I call the hypocrisy of our leaders, in particular our current leader. Because as I said before, they vilified the Prime Minister. And you said something that I also agree with, because I asked Tim Harris myself if there's a different Tim Harris that I don't know. Because I know Tim Harris very well. And the things I heard about him, it's really unbelievable. But he said nothing, as you said. He said nothing. He's a man who believes in Almighty God. And as our grandmother would tell us, he left them at the foot of the cross. But this email reads, "Good evening, Mr. Liburd. Congratulations are in order as you came out swinging from your hiatus on Straight Talk last Thursday night. Information was informative. Instead of doing the people's business, the Attorney General is on a rampage to embarrass people. He sounds like Mazza talking to his subjects. Is that the change which the country wanted? The government needs to understand that not only Labour people voted for a change, At the same time, the Independence Parade was for all citizens and residents of St. Kitts. But it was portrayed, beg your pardon, as a labor parade with the playing of the song Get Rid of Them. They must stop behaving like a banana republic or mongoose gang. Continue to do what you do best. This is, it said it was for my eyes only. I'm sorry about that. I didn't read that before. Well, there's nothing untoward said in that particular email. But remember, the AG as well had this to say.
Prosecute previous governments. For minor infractions, we can take persons before the Public Service Commission so that with the evidence that we have, and they could potentially be removed from the public service. Today, after yesterday and some things that I discovered, I might be publicly embarrassing some people, which might actually be worse than going to prison. I'm contemplating whether I should do that, and I'm minded more so about 70-30 to embarrass some people who might not have been corrupt, but were, I don't want to use the word I used earlier, but not very friendly towards our treasury, and I'm not going to tolerate that, and I'm going to embarrass some people. Also, we are considering appointing a special prosecutor that can engage auditors, independent auditors, to investigate some of the statutory corporations, and then that special prosecutor can then prepare reports to present to the DPP, who will then decide whether to prosecute or not.
My Australian family, it's now 11 minutes past the 9 o'clock hour, and for those who have just joined me, we looked at, or we reintroduce our section in the program we called back then, and we call in still our observations in review. And in the process, we looked and focused on the 77th session of the United Nations General Assembly. And we looked as well at the fact that the Chinese investor was part of our delegation at the United Nations General Assembly. That was a shock to many people. But we'll get back to that as we go to the lines and say, caller, you are live on Straight Talk. Hello, caller.
Good night. Good night.
Yes.
And how it down?
I am peaceful. Could you turn your equipment or your radio down?
It's off.
It's off. I want the whole world to hear. It's so nice to hear your voice.
It's off.
Yes, so nice to hear your voice,
to hear
my family.
Voice. I could not find you. Anyway,
yes.
I'm home still.
Yes.
I'm home now.
In St. Kitts?
I'm back. No, I'm back in
back
I'm
down
back
south. And I didn't get to see you. How come? My fault or yours?
I don't know. I had some good time on the beach though.
Oh, you did?
The beach was my home.
Oh.
Yes, but the beach was my home.
Maybe I saw you on the beach and didn't recognize you in that bikini.
You know?
Wow.
Yes. What I'm saying, I hope, you know, they say, you're supposed to let sleeping dog lie. I hope when that 70-30, say what in the 70-30, you know what in go 100, go straight back. Just go straight back. Because, you know, I don't know why they don't let sleeping dogs fix the, all they have to do is fix the Constitution. If they want something to be done, fix the Constitution. Because everybody gets in, you know. But anyway, it's who the cap fix, they're going to wear it. And he does about what everybody will be work. shaking in the past. Well, I don't think nobody going to be shaking the past. They need to fix the Constitution. That's all he needs to do. Fix the Constitution. And then you won't hear, because every year, everybody gets in, you hear the same kind of story going, la. So, you need to fix the Constitution and let sleeping dog lie. Have a good night, and I hope to see you sometime. My granddaughter and all even walk with her book for you to sign for her.
Oh my.
And we couldn't find you.
Oh my, I'm
So
feeling
she
so
wanted
bad.
you to sign her book.
Wow. We'll meet sometime, I'm sure.
Yes. But enjoy the balance of the night.
Thank you.
And have a good night.
Thank you. Nice to hear you, and you have yourself a good night as well. Always good to hear you. And sorry I didn't see you physically, but
I'm sorry.
we'll make up for that sometime.
Sometime.
Have yourself.
Okay then, bye.
Thanks a lot for calling. Have yourself a wonderful what's left of the night. And you implore us, or implore all of us rather, to let sleeping dogs lie. And you suggested that you need to fix the Constitution. And that's what the Attorney General should really be doing. The Attorney General should be outlining his legislative agenda and stop getting involved in the politics. Caller, you are live. It is 16 past 9 o'clock.
I perfect love and honor to your mother, brother, and African Virgin of Life. How your day is going, my former ambassador to the United Nations, my Virgin in Newton community, and the community of Sept and Nevis. How you doing?
You know, I am peaceful, Ras Aya, and you know, as you said that, I'm so happy, right? You know, that I've got back my identity, you know, and really you should be calling me Patches. You know me as Patches, but you know, I lost my identity. I remember when I went into Scaspo. When I went into Scaspo,
don't give up. Don't give up. Though.
No, I won't. I'm just recanting. You know, they call me the GM, and they say, call me Patches, GM. I went into government. They started to call me Mr. Pierce. Then they started to call me Mr. Minister, and they call me Mr. Ambassador. And I wanted them all the time to call me Patches, and they would not. Some people say it is a matter of showing me respect, but Patches is always my name, and it will always be me. Just like Ras Aya, my Newton friend and brother. What's on your mind?
Give thanks for the work. Well, I'm here in the 40-mile parish of Sebastian in St. Paul, but I'm trying to get your feeling of the radio station, but I'm not picking it up down in these areas. But have my apology because I don't have an idea what your program setting was in the discussion. But I alluded just a little while ago about the AD must stick to the legislation and keep out of politics. So I would like to see what grounds are you discussing prior to this moment of your format, please.
Well, we looked at the comments of the Attorney General, right? And he literally threatened people using some sympathy theory and actually threatened people that they will shake in their boots because he's not afraid of anybody. And he's suggesting there is corrupted practices in his ministry, and there are ways to deal with it, you know. And I believe that the Attorney General is the chief legal advisor in most common jurisdictions, right? And he should stick to his job. And that's basically in a nutshell what we suggested. As you know,
well, I would like to add something to that comment relating to the grounds of the Attorney General and the level that he or her, whenever they fit in that profile, they maintain the grounds of outsiding the legislators are supposed to go forward to guide the affairs of the state and the people. Now, when you look at this here, we have to be cautious on how things were stated in this discussion. because looking at how he said people will be shaking in the boots. So I would like to know on the context for what he's bringing out to that word. He looking to really put people at the trial of the judiciary system, because he said everything will lead down to the DPP to make the charge, because government cannot take people to court. As he stated, is the DPP when it comes to those kind of legislative grounds that go to the format of doing what they're supposed to be doing. And me would like to say, this time now we'll stay away from the party politics and even what the grounds that the age is supposed to represent. That's why this time now we have an independent movement when it comes to these aspects of the legislative approach. You see, so we don't find that people make statements because they want to look a kind of fame and game. And I'm not saying that he make it to look like that. But the context what he said, really troubling how he said. But I know we have a Mason structure around here in St. and Nevis. When I say a Mason, I'm talking about the Masonic order. And I hope you're not a part of that order, but a former minister and former ambassador, and now who is returned back to his home as his root called Ian Patches Liburd. So please, the structure needs to change.
I'm not.
The structure needs to change from those people who really have the grip on our jurisdiction system and the grips on our financial system and even on the grips on our social impact of how we go as a people. It's time now we educate our people wisely, because party politics cannot save not even the man, the woman, or the children in a single and even in the whole world. Let us be real, because the more challenges are out there, it's coming in to our shores, and we still don't understand the approach yet. We still do not understand. But give thanks for your format.
One of the other things we discussed, and I like to get your straightforward views, right? If you remember during the election, the prison project, as it was called, was a hot political potato. And
just the skeptic that they use to create deception to people.
Okay.
Now we should ask, who are the people who behind this development project, and what are the party play out in creating economical grounds to these developers? Because I know that the Chinese have a panel, and the administration side now, who are part of the same structure body. I'm in a fair to say so. So it's time now we really look at who really are the benefactors behind this project. So you're looking and saying that it was a hot potato, it wasn't a hot potato, because in long time no prison supposed to be instated in our federation. But through of the laziness of the finance minister under Simon and Douglas and Timothy, we realize we ain't seeing this in constitution. So me asking no prime minister, no prime minister coming up here to legislate and put about these people. If you are serious about helping the condition that our people are facing in that old dirty prison what you call 1840, our building on of the demon them for controlling our people, let us ask ourselves, is that the condition we want to see our people still in? Are we ready to see our people in a better, as I call it, recreation facility to bring us out of the mess that we are facing, especially to murderers, rapists, and even pedophiles? Because we see these crimes happening still on our shores. If we really is ready to talk about changing the development of our people mindset. So that's in my view, and this aspect when it comes to the new institution considered as a jail or a prison. But I hope it don't go out in the context of using it as a business turn to have the image and they're working and then getting a benefit. And the one who benefiting is like the man who is the supervisor, however they call them now, a commissioner, or the people who give him or her who in those structure as supervisors in the prison. They kind of level to grab them, we got the image them working, and they get the benefit and image and ripping on. We don't want to see that down here like America and England and them other places. Because prison is a business, and we know what you mean when we say prison is a business. If we know our business, it will not be like, you have a blessed night, my virgin. Perfect love, give thanks.
Thank you very much. Perfect love as well. Very interesting perspective coming there from a Newtown brother, Ras Aya. Very interesting perspective. This email reads, well, Patches, Dwyer and them going fallout with the continued construction of the prison, which is no surprise to many. Dwyer wants everything stopped and start a new beginning. He wants the country to lose millions of dollars that has already been spent on projects and start afresh with more millions. Dwyer boy, you ain't in nothing, just rest yourself, reads that email. It's 25 minutes past the 9 o'clock hour, and again, as we were saying, and that question was asked, the new Attorney General said that he was given a job to do. And the only job he ought to do is, as all Attorney Generals do in most common law jurisdictions. That is to provide legal advice as the chief or main legal advisor to the government. As the chief legal advisor to the government, our Attorney General is also expected to serve as counselor to the federal government agencies and the Parliament, also to represent the best public interests. And I said before as well, I know that the Attorney General is as well the Minister of Justice and Legal Affairs. And we do have a constitutional framework, as I should continue, wherein the DPP has authority to make final decisions in matters of criminal prosecution, whereas the Attorney General may just have a corresponding duty to consult with or inform his cabinet and the Prime Minister on the public interest implications of prosecutorial decisions when the circumstances warrant them. And my family, I would also hasten to add as well, I know, as I was going to say, that the Attorney General is also the Minister of Justice and Legal Affairs. And for that reason, he must ensure that under his leadership, his Department of Justice and Legal Affairs must dedicate itself to upholding the rule of law, keeping our country safe, and protecting the civil rights of all petitions and divisions. And getting back to the prison, as we said earlier, this is what has transpired with the new, or since the new government has taken office.
Brings me to the prison project. That project was intended to enrich Chinese interests and their friends, to build a $30 million project, but the company would generate nearly $1 billion US by the issuance of 5,500 St. Kitts and Nevis citizenships. We cannot allow this to continue. This is rape and pillage by outsiders, aided and abetted by decision makers in our country. This Chinese jail project should be reviewed and shut down. I've gone through this before. Now I'm hearing that there is talk of a switch from prison, or prison entirely, to prison and houses. So the Chinese will receive the same amount of passport applications, collect the same amount of money, build a number of houses, and will sell those houses to our people, who will now have to pay the Chinese for the houses. So that is two sets of big money for the Chinese.
Yes, my straight dog family. Thank you for holding, caller. You are live.
Mr. Liburd,
My dear.
I hear about the houses that will build or sell or rent out. Mr. Liburd, people get land from the former government, pay surveyor, pay treasury, And now they are telling them, hold up. Hold up for what? Continue what they meet, because that's all they will do. Continue. They have nothing new to come with. Maybe to give the Chinese. A matter of fact, we only a quarter kitchen right now. The rest is foreigners and more to come. It's unfair to people for their land. Get home safely. Culture, good night. Mr. Liburd, somebody was saying a constituency having a lot of people. Only know that they know. They could have changed that 20 years ago. I hope they do something now and don't just talk alone. Get home safely.
Thank you, my dear. You'll be safe as well. We go back to the lines. I'm trying to get. Are you there, caller? Are you there, caller? Are you there, caller? Okay, I think I've lost that caller. Please call back the caller. I think I've lost you, caller. It's now 9:30. We're right to the bottom of the hour. And in case you have just joined us, as I was going to say earlier, we focus on our observations in review. We actually focus on the 77th session of the United Nations General Assembly, UNGA 77, which began on the 13th of September at the United Nations headquarters. The first day of the high-level general debate was Tuesday, the 20th of September. This year, UNGA is being held under the theme, A Watershed Moment, Transformative Solutions to Interlocking Challenges. It must be observed, however, that while the issue of the pandemic still exists, it is not the only issue that the world faces. I'll take this call and I'll come back to that, my Straight Talk family. Caller, you live. Hello, caller. My dear brother, jam down.
How are you, man? How are you?
I am peaceful. I asked for you today. I asked how we
Yeah, so good. But you know, we lose rock. The old Rockefeller, the only king in this country.
Yes, we did. Unfortunately, we did.
Yeah. But then, all I want to say, that we will never see another prime minister like Timothy Sylvester Harris. And if I perish, I will perish with that guy. He's a good guy. And it truly fell. Just like you're in public infrastructure, you're supposed to lift your head up because you have made a difference in this country according to Sept. And Sept thinking how I'm thinking, and others, culture, and others. You have made a mark. And these young men who is coming through, they got a bar to jump over with Timothy and you set is very high. Very, very high. And they got to pull themselves. Again, we in the court of conscience want to thank you to come in and bring back a shot to give poor people a voice in this country. Because we will speak. Oh yeah, we will speak. Anyway, you take care, Patrick, enjoy yourself.
Good to hear you, my brother. You take care of yourself.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you take care.
And good to hear you. I asked about you today, so it's good to hear you.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. That's my good friend and brother, Jam Down. Always very assertive, always to the point, and always speaks the truth. And there can be no democracy without truth. But there can be no truth without controversy. Truth is controversial. Let's just go back to the lines. Caller, You are live. Hello, caller.
Hello, good night.
Good night, my dear. Hello?
Hello, Patrick. Yeah, I'm back.
Oh, you have an operator. You have an operator, I see.
Good night, Jam Dong. Good night, Patrick. I mean, Alice. And all our Straight Talk fans. Good night. Patrick, that email that you read out about Dwyer, that email is so correct. Because as long as he are not in control, or he's not in control, he want to mash up everything. Want to mash up everything. The same thing happened when you build the pier. Because he couldn't get what he want over there, he started to kick against it. And now we hear where he coming and talking about the prison. He want to mash up the new government what has gone there. That is the aim. As long as he can rule, he want to mash up. And how we could remember what contract was signed over there by the new prison institution, and he can't remember down Low Valley Golf Course down there. He can't remember that. Look the problem where he got there with the family property. He can't rule it, and so everything must mash up. So the emailer is right. He and them, they're going to mash up this minute, because as long as he can't get his own way, nothing going to go on without he. That's all I got to say. Give thanks.
Give thanks as well, my dear brother, Culture, and good night to my sister Jay as well. And it's now 24 before the 10 o'clock hour, as we are on the uphill side of Straight Talk. This email reads, good night, Mr. Liburd. Hope you continue on being peaceful. Certainly I do. I'm at peace with my God. I'm at peace with myself, and I'm at peace with the world. I listen with rapt attention, it continues, to Prime Minister Drew's maiden speech to the 77th UN General Assembly. It was a good speech, but a poor delivery. He needs to get some training in public speaking. He's a good campaigner, as he was able to rev up the people. Some members of his delegation were seen on their phones while Dr. Drew was addressing the assembly. Out of order. They too need some training. On another note, Dr. Drew is playing to the gallery. He needs to be assertive. St. Kitts belongs to everyone, not just to Labour supporters. By the way, I also listened to the Prime Minister of Grenada, Mr. Mitchell, as a first-timer. He was eloquent, reads that email. It's now 23 before the 10 o'clock hour, and Straight Talk is back. Tell your friends, to tell your neighbor, to tell the world that Straight Talk is back. On Facebook and on YouTube, just share the link. We're now as well connected via WinFM Radio. We are now connected via WinFM Radio, my family, and we are beaming through WinFM Radio on 98.9 FM. I want to say good night to my good friend from down at Boyd's. At times she sometimes can't get into the program. I don't know why. I spoke with her today, and I know she's all right, and I hope you are doing well. I understand you're doing some construction and you need some assistance. But if you so want to contact me at this time, the telephone number is 663-6672. The only thing, you're gonna go live on social media or on radio. So again, for the local callers, number 663-6672. For those in the diaspora, we give you access via 646-829-6672. But again, as I was saying, at UNGA, the theme is a watershed moment, transformative solutions to interlocking challenges. It must be observed, as I said earlier, that the issue of the pandemic still exists, but there are so many other issues that the world faces. Though not exhaustive, global challenges include racism, climate change, hunger and poverty, armed conflicts, to list a few. And my family, it was good. It was good. Let me take this call. I'll come back to that. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Patches, quickly. Patches.
Yes, my brother.
Yes, Patches.
Yes, you're live, my brother. Yes.
Some people talking about the prison. When there was a minister of this country, you know, they never visit in the jail and see how poor people, children living. And that prison is welcome, and they have to build that prison. They have to build that prison because poor people ain't going in. That ain't even a dungeon. That is just like somewhere to class poor people, children. It's a pity. It's a pity man get no serious disease yet coming out of the prison. It's a shame. Some of them should hush up. Some of them should hush up when it comes to the prison issue. They never visit in the prison. From the time you enter by the big gate, you want to make it in a different world. I think I don't know what kind of way. They don't understand how them officers don't start to dead in there yet. You need on your prison and you got the bell. You have the bell. And ladies in making power themselves in gardening. Patches, look at this. You see your red man all over getting red. Look at this. It's getting red, it's getting hot, it's getting hard. These prisons got to use up the land. When a young man of our country put the prison and farm and feed the country, then it's hell they're talking. They should hush. A lot of them. Have a good night, Patches. This is damn long talking.
Yes, my brother. Have a good night as well, Jam Down. And you made a point, and that is so true. I mean, once you get, you approach the prison gate under what they call the arch, something seems to hit you. The first time I went there, my son was reprimanded, and I went to visit him. And I asked myself, just entering under that arch, why and how do some of these guys go back to prison? Because the conditions in there, they're squalid, they're so bad. But I guess they're just themselves. But the fact is, and we say prison, let's call it right, it's a correctional facility, to be politically correct. So it should be a center of rehabilitation. So that's why they call correctional. But it's sad that there's what is called recidivism, right? That people tend to go back because we don't accept them back in society, and it is sad, even though they have paid their dues. But getting back to UNGA 77, I believe it was a good thing that Prime Minister Joe cited some of the challenges that demand global action during his contribution to the debate on Friday. It was also good that he re-emphasized, Dr. Joe, he re-emphasized St. Kitts and Nevis' support for the Republic of China and Taiwan and the Republic of Cuba.
Mr. President, I can also speak firsthand to what our friendship with the Republic of Cuba and what it means to me. and its value to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. Cuba has partnered with my own country and many in the developing world in healthcare, education, training, and agriculture. We therefore called an end to the decades-long embargo imposed against Cuba. I re-emphasize our unswerving support for Taiwan's meaningful participation in the UN system. Taiwan has been a long-standing friend and a partner for sustainable development. Mr. President, I can also speak firsthand to what our friendship with the Republic of Cuba and what it means to me and its value to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. Cuba has partnered with my own country and many in the developing world in healthcare, education, training, and agriculture. We therefore called an end to the decades-long embargo imposed against Cuba.
Yes, I believe that we all support that position advance. I sometimes wonder, though, whether Taiwan, the call for Taiwan to be included, will ever materialize. Notwithstanding that, though, while attempting to establish the facts, nonetheless, many have asked me whether it was Douglas or whether it was Drew who ensured that the Chinese investor accompanied them as part of the St. Kitts Nevis delegation that was seated at the United Nations General Assembly while calling for the Taiwanese to be included in the United Nations system. We spoke earlier and we asked, we reflected. Imagine Labour jumped on the bandwagon of bashing the CBI prison project under the alternative investment option. Imagine they even bash the Chinese investor who is constructing the CBI prison project. They accuse Timothy Harris and his family of a scheme to make $2 billion from the project. Then you see Dr. Drew, Dr. Douglas, and his cabal seated at the United Nations General Assembly with the same Chinese investor as part of the delegation to this high-level meeting. If that is not hypocrisy, then what is? We also observe that our Prime Minister Drew took a very large delegation, including 5 ministers of government who all traveled to New York purportedly for this high-level meeting. But it is now well known that these 5 Labour ministers accompanied Prime Minister Drew to New York for other reasons. It is now common knowledge that these 5 ministers accompanied Dr. Drew so that they can all be part of the victory party for some of the hundreds of overseas voters, in particular from the tri-state, who descended on to the Federation in early August and cast their vote in the last election. And my people, we know why they all accompanied Drew to New York.
Nobody at all. I want to greet the people who are listening by way of the internet. Those who are in the diaspora and who will be coming home for labor tomorrow and Thursday and will be part of the victory on Friday and Saturday. Tell them don't mess with us. We are labor. We are labor. We large and in charge.
Well, the victory party was held on Saturday for those who came home to cast their vote for Labour. The party was held at the Eastwood Manor at East Chester Road in the Bronx, New York, last Saturday. It was Labour's way of saying thank you. No matter what they said about independence celebrations, far from that. That was a way, no doubt, to get the cost absorbed by the Treasury. And our final observation we raised tonight as well, as we wind down, brought us to the twists, the latest twists in the prison project. As I said, it was a political hot potato during the last election of the 5th August. Who would believe that Prime Minister Jew and his entire cabinet are now munching on that potato? How many of us remember, my family? How many of us remember the political rant of Kennedy Simmons when he said this himself about the prison?
$1 billion prison. Why are we so focused on putting our people in a new prison? We must get our priorities right. If the peace is working, why are we building a $2 billion prison? Why are we so focused on putting our people in a new prison? We must get our priorities right.
Yes, your priorities are not Jews' priorities. How many of us remember as well that we now have a Labour government in place led by Dr. Joe? And believe it or not, they are hastily continuing the construction of the same prison project. They put everything on hold, as they said. And one thing that they have not put on hold is their spending. They're spending from the budget that was approved under the Harris administration. They are spending from the Harris budget. Timothy Harris laid his budget in the parliament, I think it was on the 14th of December in 2021. The debate ensued for approximately 4 days, and the entire parliament approved that budget and gave the authority to spend from that budget in 2022 in keeping with the appropriation bill of 2021. So, why the hypocrisy? Why don't they continue the projects? Because government is continuous, as I said, and I'll continue to say. No matter what you say, Jew is spending from the Harris budget that he passed in December of 2021, when he laid that budget on the parliamentary table, discussed it, debated it, and it was finally approved. So yes, Jew continues the construction of the prison and that capital project that was approved by the Harris administration, why don't he continue the other projects? No matter what this man is saying, he is talking nonsense. Listen to this.
Brings me to the prison project. That project was intended to enrich Chinese interests and their friends, to build a $30 million project, but the company would generate nearly $1 billion US by the issuance of 5,500 St. Kitts and Nevis citizenships. We cannot allow this to continue. This is rape and pillage by outsiders, aided and abetted by decision makers in our country. This Chinese jail project should be reviewed and shut down. I've gone through this before. Now I'm hearing that there is talk of a switch from prison or prison entirely to prison and houses. So the Chinese will receive the same amount of passport applications, collect the same amount of money, build a number of houses, and will sell those houses to our people, who will now have to pay the Chinese for the houses. So that is 2 sets of big money for the Chinese.
Well, my Street Dog family, we go to the lines and perhaps I'll take 2 more calls. Make this my penultimate call for the night. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller. Yes, my brother. Yes, my brother. How art thou?
Yeah, Patrick.
Yes, John.
Let me say something, you know. That Chinese investor, it brought on that the hem, that private investor could not go to the United Nations meeting, you know. Weak leadership. That lady had a call up there. She's a good friend of them. She's supposed to be in thinking. Let the petition go. Have a good night, Patrick.
Have a good night as well, my dear brother. Yes, the Chinese investor was an integral part of the Jew delegation. She sat right behind them. But the truth is, though, I understand that the citizenship offers are so undervalued. I understand that shares are sold at as low as $15. Do you believe it? The law prescribes that they be sold at $175. I understand that's why the investor went back to the cabinet and Skipper to increase the shares from 3,000 to 5,000, because the markets, in the market, they are all undersold. Our shares under the Citizenship by Investment program are all undersold. That has come before the cabinet before. What can they do about it? Jew, no doubt, coming into office and trying to understand how the Citizenship by Investment program works, had to agree with the project going forward. I understand there are other projects that are on pause. Renewable energy, for example, whereby a government has the opportunity to get a facility to reduce the cost of energy, number one, significantly, and without any capital outlay whatsoever. Get built, operated, and transferred eventually a $70 or $80 million project. No matter what this upstart would say, it is a good project for St. Kitts, and the Jew administration must take heed, be conceited, be conceited, and implement that project. I don't know what's the disposition, but I've noticed driving up the road, there's nothing seemed to be going on. But these are the observations for tonight. And finally, as I said earlier, under the caption, the Attorney General vomits at the SKNYPA forum, I believe that he vomited on many people as well. I believe that somebody must stop the Attorney General from vomiting like he did at SKNYPA. His gastrointestinal problem, it seems, is affecting his legal brain. And his permanent secretary must take the lead, request the intervention of the Director of Audit to take the necessary steps if there's a problem, to examine all the accounts of the Office of the Attorney General and the Ministry of Justice and Legal Affairs. The Director of Audit is well placed to determine whether all the transactions within the ministry are carried out in accordance with the Finance and Administration Act that provides for control and management of public finance, also for the good governance of each ministry. That is the only way we can get to clean up the vomit being puked on everyone by Attorney General Wilkin, whose clear objective is to criminalize his political opponents, to criminalize political differences. Remember, the brain and the gastrointestinal system are closely connected. Let us help the Attorney General to fix it. That's my story for tonight, and I'm not going to change it. But my time is done, and I got to run. I want to thank all. First of all, I must thank God for guiding our conversation tonight, and as always, I must thank those callers who made their interventions and their contributions tonight. I thank those on social media who listened, those who sent emails. I want you all to remember and to understand that you are the ones who make Straight Talk, and for that reason, I say a big, big thank you. Remember, whatever your mind conceives, that you will achieve. But first of all, you must believe. So when you wake in the morning, thank God for the morning light. Thank Him for taking you to the night. And my Straight Talk family, keep moving on. We come your way again on Thursday for another edition of Straight Talk. My family, we also want to say to you that we have to speak the truth. There's no democracy without the truth. But there's no truth without controversy. So, just be prepared to stand alone, my Straight Talk family, because the truth is the only way to be set free. Bye-bye. Until we connect on Thursday.